Could a new targeted income grant scheme be the answer that the excluded have been looking for? Chancellor Rishi Sunak has been urged to support a new support scheme designed to help millions of excluded self-employed workers who are currently ineligible for government financial support. Approximately 3 million self-employed workers across the UK have found themselves ineligible for the Self-Employment Income Support Scheme for a variety of reasons. But now the new Targeted Income Grant Scheme, which is being presented to the Treasury for its consideration, is designed to deal with those reasons for exclusion and also provide a lifeline to so many excluded people in the UK. Hi everyone, I'm Martin Bamford, a chartered financial planner, personal finance YouTuber and money author. On this channel, I talk about personal finance, investing and happiness. I make these videos to help you become wealthier and happier. If that sounds like a great result, click on that little red subscribe button. Please do become a part of our subscriber community. It's completely free and you'll never miss an episode. Reports coming out today suggest that 262 MPs from different political parties are supporting an ambitious new income support scheme. It's designed to provide excluded self-employed people with a one-off grant worth anywhere from £3,500 to £7,500. The grant is being called the Targeted Income Grant Scheme. It's the brainchild of Rebecca Seeley-Harris, who is a former senior policy advisor to the Treasury's Office of Tax Simplification. And her Targeted Income Grant Scheme has been officially presented to HM Treasury for their consideration. Let's take a look together at what this Targeted Income Grant Scheme is designed to do and who it would cover. Broadly speaking, it would provide a one-off grant to 4 different groups of people who are currently excluded from government financial support. Those 4 groups of people are: firstly, newly self-employed people. Secondly, freelancers who are remunerated via PAYE, pay-as-you-earn. Thirdly, limited company directors who receive dividends. And finally, people who are excluded from the Self-Employment Income Support Scheme because of the so-called 50-50 rule. I'll come back to that 50-50 rule in just a moment to explain what it means. Proposing the scheme, Rebecca Seeley-Harris said, "The government's COVID-19 financial support package has been generous and set up at speed. The Coronavirus Jobs Retention Scheme and the Self-Employed Income Support Scheme have provided support for millions of employees and the self-employed. However, a number of individuals and businesses have fallen through the cracks of support and faced many months of financial hardship. Small businesses, sole traders and entrepreneurs will be the engine of the UK's economic recovery in the months and years ahead. But if we do not support them now, many face ruin. Without targeted support, jobs will be cut, hard-earned savings will run dry and livelihoods will be lost. It will be much more expensive to rebuild what we had later down the road than to provide the reasonable support needed now. Without these individuals and businesses, the UK cannot build back better. As we look to re-energise our economy, these individuals and businesses will be instrumental. Their hard work and innovation will create jobs, widen opportunities and provide a way out of the COVID-19 crisis." The 262 MPs who are supporting this new proposal form the Gaps in Support all-party parliamentary group. This was formed to address the millions of excluded people in the UK, people excluded from government financial support schemes. The Gaps in Support all-party parliamentary group is chaired by Jamie Stone, a Liberal Democrat MP. Stone said, "Given the economic environment, Britain will be looking to entrepreneurs and small businesses to help power us towards recovery like never before. This scheme is affordable, simple to administer, resistant to fraudulent claims, and will help protect people the country will need desperately in the months and years ahead." Crucially, failure to offer this support for people who have paid their fair share into our tax system, is likely to result in a far higher long-term cost to the Treasury, both in terms of business opportunities lost and in increased costs from unemployment. That is the practical argument for adopting this cross-party plan. Of course, there is also a moral argument. The government promised to support Britons throughout the country, and yet now, nearly a year on, millions of people are still waiting for the first signs of that support. This is now long overdue, with each passing day of inaction risking both lives and livelihoods. Failing to act now would be a short-sighted mistake that would haunt our economic recovery. We would pay a much higher price later. Also backing the scheme is Esther McVey, Conservative MP and co-chair of the all-party parliamentary group. McVey said, "We are talking about offering vital support to 3 million people who, in one way or another, have made the leap towards running their own businesses. Abandoning this group sends out the message that Britain is abandoning entrepreneurs, those who see a gap in the market to create wealth and jobs for the country. I can tell you from experience that freelancing or launching a small company is challenging at the best of times, and these are far from the best of times. These are people who set out to support themselves, their families and local communities. They are exactly the sort of people we need to encourage right now, not drive from the market just as our economy needs them more than ever." The estimated cost of putting this scheme in place is £10.5 billion. It would provide taxable grants to those self-employed people and others who are currently excluded from government financial support schemes. In terms of what the 4 different groups might receive if the targeted income grant scheme is given the green light in the budget, it would either make them eligible for the next round of the self-employment income support scheme, which we're expecting to be confirmed in terms of its details in the budget on the 3rd of March. Alternatively, the long-term self-employed would receive a one-off grant of £7,500, and newer self-employed people would receive a one-off grant of £3,500. Company directors under the terms of this newly proposed scheme would either get a one-off grant of £7,500 or they would be able to claim under the terms of a different proposed scheme. That one's called the Directors' Income Support Scheme, and it broadly mirrors the Self-Employment Income Support Scheme. I've run through its proposals in another video, which I'll link to up here somewhere. Eligibility for company directors would be based on them being a person of significant control and having traded for at least 3 years, as well as being adversely affected by the pandemic and with projected profits of less than £50,000 for the 2020-21 financial year. There are some proposed exclusions too. Anyone who's previously been able to claim COVID-19 support grants would be excluded from this new scheme. Also unable to claim would be anyone who has been fined for breaking COVID restrictions. As things stand, one excluded group are the self-employed people who fall foul of the so-called 50-50 rule. This is the rule that says that qualification for the self-employment income support scheme means you need to receive at least half of your income each year from self-employment. There was one example on the radio earlier of a lady who fell foul of this rule. She was employed and she earned £10,000 a year from her employment and normally earned £7,000 a year from her separate self-employment. But that money had dried up, and therefore, because the £7,000 was less than 50% of her total earnings, she didn't qualify for the grants because of this 50-50 rule. Newly self-employed people are also being excluded from the self-employment income support scheme, and that's because of the requirements to have traded as a self-employed person in the 2018 and 2019 tax year and the 2019 and 2020 tax year. And in respect to that 2018-19 tax year, you must have also submitted your self-assessment tax return for the tax year on or before the 23rd of April 2020. Could this new targeted income grant scheme work? More importantly, will Rishi Sunak adopt this scheme and announce its implementation in the budget? I think it's very unlikely we're going to hear about any further government financial support packages until we get to that budget on the 3rd of March. But the pressure on Rishi Sunak is rising. Various groups and commentators are pushing for additional support schemes to cover this group of excluded people. There's a real drive out there, a real determination for more fairness, more equality when it comes to the application of these government financial support schemes. Do you think the Chancellor should introduce a targeted income grant scheme to cover those excluded individuals who don't currently find themselves eligible for any government financial support? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching this video. Until next time, I'm Martin Bamford, and remember, when it comes to your money, the more you know, the faster it can grow.